back. This is Mr. Cisneros. In the previous video, we added material to all the panels in our speaker box. In this video, I'd like to show you how to create a presentation file. So if we go ahead and open a new file, so we don't need to open any of these previous ones. It looks like the material on my assembly did not update on the thumbnail, but I am almost positive that it should be set since these panels here are made out of birchwood. This should also, I think the thumbnail just has to update. Anyway, let's go ahead and start a new file. What I'm going to show you is the presentation file. This is a brand new file type, so if we go to this new button here, or you can do a file new, either way works. We can go make sure we're in the English folder. We're not going to be making any IPTs. We just made the assembly. We're going to skip over the drawing file. We're going to get to that in a second. First, I want to make a presentation file. That's going to be the last row here. So standard inch IPN, inventor presentation. And we're going to go and click create. When we do, Inventor is going to automatically say, okay, we can make this presentation file for you, but what assembly do you want to use for it? So we have to go into our Google Drive. We got to find the assembly that we created. So I'm going to go into my drive. And mine does take about 30 seconds to load up, but essentially what we're going to be doing with this assembly is we're going to be creating a kind of motion, a kind of movement called an exploded view, where all of the different parts of the design move away from being assembled to looking like it's completely exploded or disassembled. What that exploded view is going to be useful for is for putting onto our drawing file. And when we put it on the drawing file, we'll be able to do things like label with balloons. We can say part 1, part 2, part 3, and we can also make a parts list to help label or to help use those labels to give some more information. Things like dimensions, things like material, volume, mass. That could all be put on the parts list right next to the exploded view. So that's what we're going to be doing. Looks like it's loaded here. I'm going to double click on my PLTW folder, and then I'm going to double click on my speaker box, and I'm going to look for the assembly. It looks like it's still populating that folder. I'll give it a second. Alright, it says no match. So what I'm going to try to do, sometimes this will happen. If you know that there's files in a folder and it says no items match your search, I think this is like an AWS issue, but all I would have to do is go back, go to last folder visited, and then just try it again. Just go and double click this and see if it populates this time, which it does, right? Here is the assembly file. So if I click on this, we can see the assembly there. Hopefully the material did update. Let's see what happens if I open this up. Is it going to have, yeah, it's going to have that wood material on there. That thumbnail just didn't update. That's okay. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to position this in a home view. If it's not already, I'm going to click on this home button next to this 3D cube. Just going to bring it in a little bit closer. That's good. And again, we're going to take these panels and we're going to make them move outward. So it looks like it's exploding, it's coming apart. And that's going to create our exploded view. The way that we make these panels move is by using this tool called Tweak Components. And whenever we use Tweak Components, we're able to choose a panel or choose a part and then choose the direction it moves. We can decide how far it moves, and we can decide how long that movement's going to last. So let's go ahead and try it out. We're going to click on Tweak Components, and let's start with this front panel. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. I'm going to start with this front panel, and let's see, if I click on it, these axis lines and arrows show up, and some information over here on the right shows up. The first thing that I want to change is this duration. I think 2.5 seconds is a bit too long, so I'm going to change that to 1. Again, that's going to be how long that movement lasts. The other thing that I need to decide is the distance. So if I grab one of these arrows, I can decide to move it in that direction. Because of the way that this is put together, I think it makes most sense to move this front panel on this z-axis. So if I click on this arrow, I can click and drag, and you can see that this distance shows up. I can decide how far I want it to go out. So let's say we do this at 6 inches. So I'll type in 6, and then over here, if I hover over this area where it says duration, a green check mark should show up. It only shows up, you can see it disappears if you hover over here. So I got to go hover with my mouse and then click the check mark. Okay, so now I've moved that. I've tweaked that front panel to move this way 6 inches for 1 second. I'm going to do that for all of these other panels, but for like the top, I'm going to make it go up, right? For these right side, left sides, I'm going to have it move on the x-axis. All right, so then they all go their individual ways, and it looks like it's coming apart. So the next thing I can do is tweak components again. I'm going to click this top panel. I'm going to make sure that duration is set to 1. Once you set it the first time, it should stay like that, so you don't have to really worry about it after. Now here's the little tricky thing about this. The way it was modeled, this is technically like upside down. So if I click on this arrow and I want to move it up, you'll see that the distance shows up, but it shows up in the negative. So I would need to type in -6, not just 6. If I typed in 6, it would go the opposite way. So 6, -6, duration 1 second, I'm going to hit the check mark. So there we go, we've tweaked that one. Let's try it again. Tweak components. I'm going to click on this panel. I'm going to make it move down with the arrow, click and drag. And then this, I'll type in 6. I'll go over here for the green check mark. And there it is. Let's do it for the back panel. Back panel, 1 second. Click the arrow, go back. I'm going to type in -6. You can see that the negative shows up there, so -6. And then green check mark. And then now the right side, left side. Click on this one, click the arrow, drag it out this way in the negative. -6 is what we'll have to type there, green check mark, and then we'll do that exact same thing here. This way, this is actually positive, so we'll type in 6 and green check mark. Alright, so now that we've done that, I want to show you what's happening down here. We can't quite see it because our window is a bit too small. But I can make this appear a little bit more by hovering over this little gray line that goes across. You can see that my cursor changes, and I'm able to click and drag to make this bottom window bigger. And when I do, I can see that there's some information here that we can kind of play around with. And if I hover over to kind of figure out what these are actually the tweaks. These are the movements that we've set. And you can see that because every single one is a second long, and they're one after another, right? This whole like movie, if you will, or presentation is 5-6 seconds long. If I go back, I can rewind it like a movie, or start from the beginning, and I can hit play, and we can see what our presentation looks like. So if I hit play, we can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tweaks, right? So the end result would be your exploded view that looks exactly like this. That's cool. Another thing that we could do if we wanted to kind of just shorten the movie, maybe even make the movements look a little bit sharper, what we could do is we can actually just stack these on top of one another. So then the movie is really just 1 second long, and all of the panels move at the same time. Now, I'll leave it up to you to decide which way you like. I prefer when it's all moving at the same time. Moving one at a time is cool too, but let's just try this out to see what it looks like. I'm going to click and drag all of these so that they're all stacked on top of each other. I'm going to go back there, and I'm just going to play. So it's just 1 second long, very, very quick, but let's see what that looks like now. I hit play. Yeah, I think that looks cooler, right? I think that looks nice. And then the end result still is going to be that exploded view. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag this just to hide it. I don't need to see that anymore right now. What I want to do is I just want to save this. We are pretty much done with this presentation file. Again, all we did was we used the tweak components tool. We clicked on the panel we wanted to tweak. We chose the duration, and we chose the distance. After that, we took a look at this storyboard, and we just moved them right on top of another. So we just have a 1 second movie. Alright, again, we're going to use this exploded view in our working drawing, and that'll be in the next video. Alright guys, we'll see you in the next one.